right now, if I want to take my wife out to eat, and we want to drink for a meal, I can't do that in River Oak. I have to go somewhere else. And if we're trying to promote and bring people here, I think we need to be somewhat relaxed in allowing that to happen. Again, I'm not advocating, I don't want a bar. I'm talking about a place that sells food, not just bar food, just a regular restaurant that wants to supplement and have things that
Asking people unanswerable
other
questions.
places around them have, and they're having to compete, and in some cases probably lose business, because if you want to go and have a Mexican food and a beer, or barbecue and a beer, or whatever the situation is, you can't do that here.
TABC already controls that. They control.
And it's mainly just the square footage is the problem, not the breakfast. Well, the only place that was big enough, you know, if you remember Rivas, when they enlarged, they had enough square footage then that they did put that, and they did put a full bar in there, but we had no problems with it.
But the new restaurant didn't ask for it.
They came and talked to them and were told they have to have 4,000.
Yeah,
But he has,
Vice
that's the
staff.
same.
Yes, 2,000.
No, this is.
No,
Mexican.
Mexican.
No, I know, but Italian, he has the same footprint.
He doesn't have
No,
he doesn't have that, he's got the back room, but not the party room that was
yeah,
there.
that's party room, it's CB's got.
Wasn't there a parking deal about having X amount of parking? If you
Yeah, that requirement's in there too.
So what do we do about that?
Except for that one up there, that hasn't been a real problem with us. Because the way the ordinance is written, if they can have accessory parking, at another location.
Adjacent.
I agree, but when if and when they ever lose that parking along 183, then they'll be way under.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm for this,
But that's an issue.
So
That's an issue, but either way, we'll have to tackle that.
I mean, can we tackle it?
Are we ready to eliminate the?
Well, we're creating a new zone up there too with that, with our turfs and stuff. But if we have a new business that comes in there, I mean, you can put it in there that they still have to adhere to the parking regulations, but I'm just saying, reduce the square footage.
no, I agree.
As long as they meet all the other TABC requirements.
But if the parking is TABC, we can't solve that.
The ABC handles it.
Right.
So we can just be silent.
We don't need to worry.
We don't have to fix it, we don't have to make it.
Right now, we're more restrictive than TABC.
Can we do away, can we do away
Right.
with square footage on the
Put
restaurant?
it down to their minimum, that, as long as they comply with TAB standards.
What other requirements are there, Marvin? Is there a percentage in our ordinance?
Yeah, there's a percentage of
What is it?
wholesale, it's 30%, I believe it is.
No more than 30%.
No more than 30%.
So I'm just saying, we might be getting rid of that, but I would want to see the other provisions as well.
And so my point is, everybody's worried about a bar. TABC already regulates.
I hear you say that, I don't want to totally go with the, I think we have something.
I understand. I'm trying to move on.
It does sound like everybody's good with getting rid of the 4,000.
As long as there's percentages in our ordinance.
Right.
Okay.
As long as one.
As long as there's a maximum alcohol percentage in our ordinance.
Yes, there is.
So,
And how would,
and that's what I'm saying, the state won't make them sell alcohol.
how do you regulate, or how do you know if you say 70-30?
The state does that.
We would check with the state.
We don't need to do it.
We would have to get all that information from the state.
Yeah, they'll perform an audit.
They won't let them have a bar there if it's registered as a restaurant, and that's how they monitor it.
Okay. And that's the thing, I don't think we'd have any sort of enforcement mechanism outside of requesting that information from the state anyway, so I think
And that's how they don't get away with, like you mentioned, having bar food.
Right.
You can't have a bar and sell food and call it a restaurant.
And I think anyone can call up and say, hey, can you come and look at this place and make sure that they're compliant? So it doesn't have to even be a council directive.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, they work very closely with us on all of that.
So are we good with either reducing or taking it out and just making it TABC? We're gonna follow this.
I'm not, but it's there, but I'm willing to look at the other provisions in our ordinance related to that.
But the square footage, if everything else lines up.
That's what I'm getting at. I wanna make sure everything else lines.
But what's the number we wanna put on?
0.
No, we won't even have the square footage.
I don't understand why you need to.
We've still got it handled through the SUP to where if we were worried about, a certain, size or whatever, we could still evaluate it at an SUP level. It just would create it like the Josephinas, where staff doesn't say, you just can't do, it has to say, you just can't do that, so. Okay.
But if we do it on that one, then you'd also have the square footage on the convenience stores too, that you,
Right.
so you would wanna remove both of those, is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
I didn't say that, but I don't know.
That's
a whole different.
That's a different thing to evaluate. I don't necessarily know that that's a
This
bad.
is about
I don't know, we
restaurants.
have a problem.
This one's just about restaurants.
Yes.
That's all I'll touch.
this is on, consumption inside where the other one is to go.
It's to go, yes.
So I would make that distinction.
Okay.
That,
All right, moving on, we'll go to consider permitting secondhand merchandise retail sales.
That's come up somewhat lately. There is a provision in our zoning ordinance, it's called under the accessory use, that uses a 15% rule. As long as they don't exceed more than 15% of their floor space, it just can't be outside. However, that does not line up with what, we have right now in our zoning ordinance. Does the council want to consider making that the same? Or leave it as it is, where right now it's just not allowed at all?
I asked Marvin about this, because I had people questioning about whether they could bring in a secondhand store or something like that. And I think what Marvin was telling me that it's allowed if it's antiques, and it's had to be, what, say, 30 years old?
30 years old.
But who knows? I don't know whether it's 30 years old or not. So in order to give these people an answer, I just wanted some clarification. It's not a desirable thing that I would really want, but it's immaterial. What I want is what's the rules of it. And, you know, if somebody wanted, they had one down there where, I think where
Jewelry shop is 183. That was an antique store, yeah.
the jewelry place is now, Jewelry Fair. It used to be that antique stuff in there, you know, there's one there now. Is that antique or is that junk? Mark determines which one it is.
It goes back to that art. Depends on who's looking at it.
Well, how does that, everything in pawn shops are recycled, right?
There you go. That's good.
But we don't, in general, the pawn shop regulations, tell me if I'm wrong, it's been before I was on. The pawn shop regulations got changed after the current two were here, correct?
Yeah, well, here, but on state law, you cannot restrict them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, but the limitations that we do have, it's not as easy to create a new pawn shop today as it was 20 years ago.
No. Right. As long as you have a zoning district, but you,
That's
they
like
are
the-
free, that.
So I don't have a problem with collectibles and antiques. I guess that's the whole deal, is you can't control what it becomes.
And how do you get them to pay sales tax? It's obviously a business selling a product, and those products are supposed to have sales tax on them.
Well, my experience with the Artful Village is that they take care of that. They show up and they come sit down with the owner of the business.
They do the state.
Yeah.
State control.
And of course, when I did that, which if you're talking about secondhand, it could be that way, just like the flea market. So in my case, you don't pay sales tax to rent space, but they did come through there, and from that point further, we started